Hi everyone. I wanted to come on here and do a Dreamwalker video for you. Um, Somebody out there had a dream and it was actually pretty interesting. I took some notes, so I'm gonna read those notes and then I'm going to pull a few cards. The intention is that if you found this video, there's something in it for you. So let's begin. So in the dream, you were in a house, but it didn't feel like home. It felt like it was yours, but it felt like a house, not a home. And the house was unfinished. So what I could see was there was whole pieces of drywall, but it was leaning up against where it would be hung. So you could see some of the electrical wiring. If I had to guess, it felt a little bit like you were building a house. And it also had a feeling of building up, like you are either starting over or starting from scratch, or I don't know, starting over. Maybe it could just be your first house. Somebody came to the door, and you went to answer the door, but before opening it, you could hear or see them. You saw a man and you saw two teenagers, and there was a boy and a girl for the kids. It definitely, I don't know if you were seeing them on a camera, maybe a Ring camera, or if you were actually seeing them through the door somehow. I mean, it's a dream, so, or maybe you can just do that. Maybe you could see through doors. I don't know. Before you answered the door, it seemed like you could hear what they were talking about. The man was saying something like, now remember, you guys have to control your thoughts. You have to control the way that you move, because she's going to know. So in the dream, you were a she. Like, whoever had this dream, you're a she, because he was referring to you that way. But I put in quotes, she will know, as if you have an ability to read either his thoughts or everybody's thoughts or just them specifically. Also, it didn't feel as familiar with the kids, but it felt familiar with this man. So you had a very strong feeling with the man, but not the man's kids. And the kids, again, were teenagers. So maybe you had never met the kids. They showed up though, and I didn't see bags in their hands, but it definitely felt like they were coming to you with what they had brought with them. You said they could come in, but it was the energy of a temporary you can come in. And you also said that there was a room upstairs, and you pointed in that direction. They started going up a spiral staircase. The stairs slowly spun the opposite way that they were walking. So with every step, they stayed in the same place, and they were never actually getting upstairs. You seem to know him for sure, but maybe them. Or maybe you know them, that they exist. But I think you have only met him. You definitely seemed scared and uncomfortable, but not that you thought that they were going to harm you, but more like you were getting a sense of, I'm going to have to deal with this, as in maybe you don't trust the entire situation. Like you felt his energy when he was trying to warn his kids, like, what is he trying to hide? Or that you didn't even know that he had the sense of knowing that you could read his energy, maybe. But it wasn't scared or uncomfortable as in, he's going to do harm to me. You also seemed really uncomfortable with this spiral staircase. Maybe you have a thing about spiral staircases. I think they're awful. Maybe you don't have a problem with any staircases, but the fact that they were not able to ascend the staircase could have been what made you uncomfortable. You weren't making any attempt to follow them upstairs. It felt like you'd already climbed the stairs before, so there was no reason for you to climb the stairs in the dream. Definitely get a sense of a choice. Like, I could feel the Lover's card as in a choice. And I could definitely feel like a stuck energy. And then you were all of a sudden talking to the teen, but the daughter, and you said somebody's name. And that was not the name of the man who showed up at the door. So I almost feel like it felt like so natural for you to say the name, and you called it out. And when you said the name, your energy shifted to something a little bit more stable and less uncomfortable. And then that teen daughter, who was now not on the staircase, she was in front of you, and she said, "Who is," and then said that name. And then it startled you, because even in the dream, it was more whoever that other person, so the person that came to the door was making you feel uncomfortable and fear, almost as if you didn't want the other person to know, or that you needed the other person's help. You weren't inviting them in to stay. You were inviting them in because they showed up at the door. The other person, the person whose name you said, gave you a very solid feeling. Like, of course, I would call upon this person in this situation. They would need to know. That's how it felt. So, very interesting. I want to talk about the stairs and this idea that this other person had some significance to you, but they cannot, how can they help you in this unfinished house? They cannot go upstairs. They can't ascend. So I'm just gonna pull some cards. So wedding sideways. Roots. And fighting. The Chariot and the Eight of Pentacles. The Hermit and the Four of Swords. Underneath is the Ace of Pentacles. The energy in the cards is suggesting that a wedding or a marriage is up in the air. There's fighting. I think there's roots. This is somebody from the past. You know them. And I think this is from a long time ago. You have roots with them, but maybe their marriage is a little sideways, fighting. This person is maybe going to stab the hand, but the hand is holding a ring. I don't know, can you see it? I think this might be the Lovers for this deck. We've got the Hermit, this is Virgo energy. And the Four of Swords, this is actually making me feel a lot like you do know the truth, and you are trying to heal. But this is the Chariot. And the Chariot is a little bit sideways with the Eight of Pentacles. Maybe Cancer energy. Maybe there's somebody working on a plan to come in. But whatever the offer is, it's kind of small. And I can't help but notice how long the nose is. Is the nose this long because there's dishonesty? Five of Wands. Conflict. Stay back. It's interesting. Flying. Strangers. Knight of Cups. I don't know. It definitely feels like you are rebuilding and you are trying to create what will feel like a home. And that when this person comes in, you have a very strong sense that there's dishonesty. And there is somebody else, maybe a newer person, that you don't have roots with, but there's an energy of, I have to talk to them about this. Like you are not the one trying to keep a secret. But I think the person that comes to the door is. Okay. That's it. Have a good day.